Another unsuccessful story. This is the things that we have to learn, that we are responsible individually for taking care of our problems with ourselves. Let me tell you, folks, there are people that are sitting in front of their television looking at this, and they are so sick they can hardly move. But I tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. You ever heard that song, "Oh, what needless pain we bear"? At one time in my life, at the tender age of about 44, 45, I was actually so bad that when I would awaken in the morning, I would have to crawl for the first couple of minutes just to be able to get some blood circulating. I mean, I was beginning to have arthritis. My index finger on both hands was so bad that they could no longer be bent. I mean, it couldn't be bent any farther than that. This is what was happening to me. Now, I was eating all this great processed food. I mean, my breakfast, sure, it consisted of a Twinkie and a bottle of half and half. But I was sure that my government would not allow anybody to put anything on the market that wasn't approved by them. I didn't even realize that it was dead food, that I'm a living entity. It created a prostate problem that put me in total misery for 5 years. One morning I awakened after that 5 years and decided that I had to look for an alternative. I had to look for something. It was amazing because what I found was magnificent. Let me give you an idea of what happens to us when we have a prostate problem or we have a problem with a female problems. Again, we want to go to this board and we want to have a look at this colon on the right here. Again, we will find a nice healthy colon. We're looking at a colon that has the female reproductive system to it. Okay, this is what we want to look at. This is the female reproductive system with a picture of the colon. And what happens here is when we move over here and take a look at this colon, we will see that the transverse colon has prolapsed. It prolapsed from the weight of the waist. Okay? This comes solely from constipation. I'm going to show you in this a multi-billion-dollar business. This prolapsus has caused the colon to fall on the uterus. It is somewhere around this point that women now begin to have problems with the menstrual cycle, because the menstrual cycle stops because the colon has fallen here and stops the waste from coming out of the vagina. It is here now that the waste begins to build up in this little part and causes the woman to have cramps. She sees the first blood as clots because it has laid there 2 or 3 days. Finally, so much built up in here that it was forced out. But as dangerous as what I said is happening here, there is something more insidious going on here. Women who have had hysterectomies have had the hysterectomy because of constipation, and almost solely from constipation. Because what now happens is the waste of the colon starts to leak out on this uterus. And the body has the awesome job of trying to save your life. So what it does is it takes that waste and puts it in little tiny bags along the uterus wall. Doctors call those bags fibroid tumors. They now go in and remove the uterus, which allows the colon to fall even farther. If they didn't take out the ovaries at that time, the colon now falls down and starts to leak its waste onto the ovaries. And again, the body goes on to defense. And now they go back in and they remove the ovaries. In 10 or 12 years, the woman is complaining about a lack of circulation into the leg area, because the colon has fallen way down into this area and is cutting off the blood supply to the leg area. And so now the problems really begin. And you see, the problem was never solved. to begin with. It was never taken care of to begin with. So the problem has gone on and on and on. It is at this time that you start getting problems in the stomach area also, because the stomach itself begins to sag and starts to fall, and you'll see that it fills up with acid, which causes us to have all kinds of problems. That's when the Rolaids and the Tums become the order of the day after every meal. The bottom line is prolapse causes problems not only with the female, but with the male, because it is the same problem that happens when men have prostate problems, and the same thing that happens when they have, what is the surgery that they do on, oh geez, I've forgotten what they call this surgery for, hernias. Hernias. Because of this prolapse, it brings the weight of this down on the bladder. Everything that's below this now suffers, because remember, there's 20 feet of small intestine in there, and it is pushing outward, causing the belly to distend. Again, we get back to the old saying, you know what the trademark of a starving nation, the trademark of a starving nation is the distended belly. You realize that that's the trademark? Look at Ethiopia, and you'll find out that's exactly what's happening in Ethiopia, is that distended stomach, that protrudes way out. But folks, take a look at America, and you will find the same starvation going on. One is starving with a belly full of empty, and the other is starving with a belly full of full. You see, because the emptiness of the food is just as empty as the empty belly. And so it creates quite a problem for us. It creates a bigger problem for a person who has a belly full. We need to awaken to the fact that we are storing our own waste. You can lose 40, 50 pounds just by eliminating the waste of the body. Remembering that overweight is the side effect of being ill. If we come to this realization, we will be able to take care of ourselves beyond our wildest dream. But the whole point is that it comes down to the individual. It is not up to somebody else. Nobody is going to take better care of you than you take care of yourself. Let me tell you my story. The thing that sent me here for an alternative, looking for an alternative, was the fact that I woke up that morning and realized that after 5 years of allopathic medicine, I was actually in worse shape than I'd ever been in my life. Much worse than when it originally started. And so I had to wake up to doing something about myself. It was amazing. I found out that more than $20,000 had been spent on my prostate company, on my prostate problem by the insurance companies. Over $20,000 had been spent. Now, at $20,000, I should have been in great shape, but I was in worse shape than I'd ever been. When I found the answer, I found it in a living herb. And you know what it cost? $8.43. It took care of the problem in its entirety. That has been 5 years ago that this happened to me. It's been 5 years, and I have had no problem. In summary, the only way that we can get well is to clean up the sewage system. The sewage system is that colon that I was speaking to you about. It is as simple as cleansing that system that makes us well. And it is the responsibility of each individual to do that. When we come back again, we will be talking to you about the cure. I mean, definite cures. No symptom taking care of. No covering up. That's our problem today. We have covered up with allopathic medicine all these things that we thought were being taken care of. We should have had some suspicion when they said, we don't cure, we just arrest. Well, after all their